Fundamentals, Phase 2, Day 17. I took it quite easy yesterday, come to think of it. I didn't go to the gym. I did a lot of grip work. I did yoga, of course. I went to yoga, and that's going a little bit better. Doing some basic flow, some vinyasa yoga, which I'm terrible at, but you got to start somewhere. Especially since it's just going to be stretching up my my hamstrings mainly, but also my glutes. It really helps there, and hip flexors it's great for as well. But always, as always, pumping my grip. I love my grip tool from Iron Mind. Shill, just joking, they're not giving me squat and they never will. So with this particular one, I'm not sure if you can see it, you've got to be careful because sometimes this little, I guess it's a dowel, comes out. It's like a little metal cylinder that holds this assembly together, so sometimes when you're banging it around like that, it will start coming out. So you just got to press that in to make that work. If any of my mates get this, I know one person in particular has. I think he must have figured it out, that you pull this forward and push it to the side so you can adjust the springs and whatever, start 3 grooves or whatever. Whoa. 3 grooves to get your hands just used to the feeling, because these are serrated, they're quite sharp until you get used to it. So there's one exercise where you just pump and pump for time, and that gets all the blood flowing and really concentrate on the tension that you can get in your overall arm as well. And then you can pump and hold it closed for time and then count 30 seconds, 45 seconds, 60 seconds and trying to increase it. Now I do the same exercises by pumping it and holding it on the same setting, just so I remember where I'm at, and then you can just steadily increase it over time until you get onto the second spring. So the top is obviously the heaviest loading, and then when you get to the top, then you put the next spring on the bottom and then move that spring up slowly but surely until your hands are sort of tough enough and they get calloused enough where you can actually do this stuff and feel like a real man. Not with my dainty analyst hands. So that's been going really good. So pump it for time, pump and hold. It's just a really good thing. If you can't be asked going to the gym, it happens. Like I said, I went to yoga and did that. And day before I went pretty hard with my chest, so my shoulder was getting kind of sore. It feels right now. My neck is improving daily, which is awesome. I was really worried about that, especially waking up in the morning with a stiff neck thinking, yeah, you've done it again for the 3rd time since stacking your bike, you idiot. But that didn't happen. So, alhamdulillah, there is a God, and I will keep on working on it. So everything's going really well. A little bit of sunshine for my leisurely work and activities. The corn is recovering. If you haven't been paying attention, you should be. And if you're not, then enjoy your burned paper currencies. Other than that, bit of voodoo flossing, bit of deep heat. One sec. Invest in these if you're in Australia. If not, look at what the ingredients are and buy them in the States, Canada, UK, Germany, Middle East, wherever you are. Deep heat is always such a good thing and such a good relief piece to have. And whatever this stuff is, the anti-inflammatory relief gel is really, really, really good and really, really useful, and has been really useful the last few days. Get stuck into that stuff. I think in Australia that's probably $15 a tube, and that lasts forever, and I use quite a lot of it. Deep heat, the extra big deep heat's like $8 or something. Get into that as well. Ice is good, but ice is only good for pain. So people would have seen me using ice all the time when I was boxing. It's not to reduce so much inflammation or anything. That's a bit of a meme. It's just if something hurts, ice is really good. It numbs it for the pain. That's when you want your ice. Otherwise, like I said, replace rice with meth. Get used to that acronym. Replace the rest ice compression elevation with the meth method, which is movement elevation. Who cares? Look it up, Google it, Google that shit. Whereas people who are into conspiracies always say, do your own research, because they can't provide you with facts. So they say, You go and do your own research to find stuff that you're not going to find anyway. All those people, probably the people who are anti-vaxxers, always say that stuff. Do your own research because I have no proof. So those tools, ice, mobility. I definitely have to have a video, a separate video from all of these, just with my rehabilitation technique stuff, because I've had a mate that's following these closer than some of my other lazy idle mates, who's going to be a Greek god soon enough, I can tell you that now, who also had a bit of glute tenderness from sprinting and bits and pieces. So I've got out a video about a big part of it is, you know, taking your time when you're watching the TV or something, how to rehabilitate yourself is a big part of athleticism, and training is doing that. Always running over, sorry about that. I will speak to you tomorrow.